and welcome to another episode of IELTS with Coach Brad. I am of course Coach Brad, and today I'm going to be giving you some tips and some helpful phrases that you can use for task 2 in the speaking test. Before I start, be sure to like, share and subscribe if you enjoy these videos or if you would like to see more. And additionally, if you would like to follow me on social media, the links below can be found for Facebook and for Instagram. I'll be making a lot more videos and IELTS guides to help you get the best score possible for your IELTS test. And just remember the most important thing: practice, practice, practice. Now let's begin. Task 2 of the speaking test is really easy for students that are talkative and very difficult for students that are shy. So this is not the time to be quiet. It makes it more difficult because you do not have a back and forth conversation with the IELTS examiner. So it is just you speaking, and the examiner will sit there very quietly and just watch. This can be very scary for some students, but like always, if you practice enough times, you will get much better at it. In this video, I hope to give you 5 helpful phrases that I think will work in almost any speaking test. If you practice them enough and you are confident, then this should give you enough of a start to speak for 1 minute comfortably. Before you start speaking for task 2, you will be given a card. The card will look something like this. It will give you some suggestions about the types of things you should talk about, and usually you will need to tell a story about an experience that you had, or you will need to describe something you own or a person you know. If you need to tell a story about an experience that you had, you will need to use a lot of past simple. If you are more confident, you can also use past continuous and other narrative tenses such as past perfect. However, do not make the mistake of using present tenses when telling a story in the past. You will need to use a lot of verbs like did and didn't, was and wasn't, were and weren't, had, ate, went, saw, told, drank, etc. For present simple, remember if you need to describe something which is he, she or it, the verbs will need to be in present simple form, such as he loves, it has, she wants, not it have, she love, he drink. You will lose a lot of points if you do that. Please do not make that mistake. Practice speaking in past simple and present simple for task 2 of the IELTS test, and you will get a much better score. Let's have a look at an example of a typical part 2 speaking test question. Describe a time when you were very happy with the price you paid for an item. You should say what item you bought, describe where you got it, why you wanted or needed the item, and also why you thought it was such a good price. Remember, you have 1 minute to plan and speak for between 1 and 2 minutes. Definitely not less. If you speak less than 1 minute, you will lose score and the examiner will just ask you more questions or ask you to continue. My first helpful phrase will work for any test and is the best way to start speaking in task 2. I would like to talk about. It works in every situation. I would like to talk about a time when. I would like to talk about my brother. I would like to talk about my favorite item. I have given some examples. I would like to talk about my favorite sport, which is basketball. I play basketball 3 times a week. I play with my friends. I would like to talk about the time I traveled to Japan with my school. We went to Mount Fuji. It was an amazing experience. I would like to talk about the time I went to the Blackpink concert. We sat in the front row and sang all night. Number 2, I was joined by. Who did you do the experience with? This is very easy and it's something that you can always remember. It will work in every test. I was joined by my best friends. I was joined by my family, which includes my mum, my dad, my brother and my sister. I was joined by my dog. I was joined by the waitress from the bubble tea shop. It doesn't matter, it will always work. Remember, you want to tell a story and you want it to be interesting. The best way is to include highlights of the story. One way to do that is to say, I was amazed by. I was amazed by the beautiful scenery. The beach was fantastic. I could see fish everywhere. I was amazed by the low prices of all the products. I was amazed by how friendly the local people were. When I needed directions, they gave them to me with a big smile on their face. The opposite of a highlight is something that you didn't really like. Now, you don't want to say, I hate it or I didn't like. I think we can do better than that. So practice this phrase, I wasn't particularly fond of. It is a soft way of saying you didn't like something, and it is polite and pleasant. I wasn't particularly fond of all the mosquitoes. They kept biting me. I wasn't particularly fond of the local food. Everything was so unhealthy. I wasn't particularly fond of the rude man who ate the last slice of pizza. I was so hungry. And finally, if you wanted to do something different, if you had a chance to do that experience again, a good way to say that is, if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would. If I had the opportunity to do that again, I would definitely take an umbrella because it didn't stop raining for the whole trip. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would definitely bring more friends to share the experience because I had such a great time. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would take photos with the local animals so I could post them to my social media account. Let's try, and remember, use the correct tense and try to use the phrases that we have learned in this video. Let's use the example that we saw earlier. Describe a time when you were very happy with the price you paid for an item. Let's start. I will go first, and then you can continue. I would like to talk about the time when I bought my PlayStation 4. Usually, the price of a PlayStation 4 is about $700, but when I bought it, it was only $500 because there was an amazing sale. I can still remember the time when I bought it. I was joined by my best friend who also wanted to buy a PlayStation 4. We were so excited because we had all holidays to sit down and play our favorite games, such as FIFA and Call of Duty. When I got to the store, I was amazed by how many other people were there to buy PlayStations at that price. There must have been 50 people in the queue, but it didn't stop me. I was determined to buy that PlayStation because I had invited my friends over that afternoon to play and have a barbecue. If I had the opportunity to do it again, for example, to buy a PlayStation 5, I would definitely wait for a good sale. If you buy the product on the first day that it is available, you will pay a much higher price. So if you can just wait for 1 year, you will be rewarded with a big discount. That is the end of the video today. Now it is your turn to try task 2 in speaking. Remember, if you would like to practice speaking with Coach Brad, then find information on how to contact me in the description below the video. In the meantime, just remember, practice, practice, practice. I'll see you next time.